The stars looked cold and distant as Commander Lyra stood on the bridge of her command station. She watched the enemy ships surround her planet like hungry wolves. 300 Vexian warships had arrived 6 hours ago, and now they were attacking without mercy. Her small colony world of Keltar Prime had no chance against such a massive fleet. Lyra's hands shook as she gripped the railing. Below her planet, millions of people were hiding in shelters, praying for rescue that would never come. The defense shields were failing. Every blast from the enemy ships made them weaker. Soon the shields would break completely, and then the bombardment would destroy everything. Her communications officer turned to face her. His eyes were filled with fear. "Commander, we have maybe 15 minutes before the shields fail. After that, the surface shelters cannot protect our people." Lyra closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She had sent distress signals to every nearby star system. She had begged the Galactic Council for help, but nobody was coming. The Council had sent a message saying they could not interfere in regional conflicts. The truth was simpler and more painful. Everyone was afraid of the Vexian Empire. It was easier to let one small colony die than to risk a war. "Keep sending the distress signal," Lyra ordered. "If we are going to die here, I want the galaxy to know what cowards they have become." The officer nodded and continued broadcasting their desperate call for help. Nobody on the bridge believed anyone would answer. The nearest friendly military force was 4 days away. They had only minutes left to live. Then something impossible happened on the sensor screens. "Commander." The young sensor officer jumped from his seat. "I am detecting something. A massive energy reading just appeared in our system." "More Vexian ships?" Lyra asked. Her heart sank even lower. They were already doomed. More enemies would just make their death come faster. "No, Commander. This is different. The energy signature does not match anything in our database. It is enormous. Much bigger than the largest Vexian ship." Everyone on the bridge turned to look at the main view screen. Space itself seemed to tear open like a curtain being pulled aside. Blue and white light swirled in a growing circle. Then a ship emerged from the impossible vortex of light. The vessel was huge beyond belief. It stretched 3 kilometers from front to back. Its hull was dark gray metal that seemed to swallow light instead of reflecting it. Strange symbols covered its surface. Weapon platforms stuck out from every angle like the spines of some dangerous animal. But what caught everyone's attention were glowing letters painted along the side that read, "USS Defiance." "What is that thing?" Lyra whispered. Her communications officer frantically searched through their computer files. "I found something, Commander. It matches old descriptions from restricted files. That is a human warship." The bridge became silent. Everyone had heard stories about humans. Some said they were primitive people who barely knew how to travel between stars. Others told darker tales about a species that had survived countless wars on their home planet and brought that terrible knowledge to space. The Vexian fleet noticed the newcomer. They stopped bombing Keltar Prime and turned to face this single unknown ship. 300 warships moved into attack formation against the lone human vessel. Then a voice came through every speaker in the star system. It was calm and relaxed, as if the speaker was discussing the weather instead of facing an entire fleet. "Vexian vessels, this is Captain Nathan Cross of the USS Defiance. You are attacking civilians and breaking 17 different space treaties. Power down your weapons and leave immediately, or we will consider you enemy combatants." The Vexian commander responded with anger in his voice. "Human ship, you are outnumbered 300 to 1. Leave now and we will let you live. Stay here and you will die with this worthless colony." There was a pause. Then Captain Cross spoke again. This time his voice was cold and hard like ice. "I gave you a chance to leave. What happens next is your fault, not mine." The USS Defiance began moving forward into the center of the Vexian formation. The Vexian fleet opened fire first. 300 ships unleashed every weapon they had. Plasma bolts, missiles, and energy beams all converged on the human ship from every direction. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The Defiance did not even slow down. Blue energy shields appeared around the human warship. They absorbed the massive attack without any trouble. The ship accelerated forward, driving straight toward the center of the Vexian fleet at incredible speed. Inside the Defiance, Lieutenant Greg Harris checked his instruments. "Shields at 98%, Captain. Their weapons barely scratched us." Captain Nathan Cross sat in his command chair. His face showed no emotion. He had spent 12 years exploring the galaxy. In that time, he had learned an important truth. Most alien species had never fought real wars. They had small fights over borders or resources, but they had never known total war where entire civilizations fought to survive. Humanity had known that kind of war many times throughout their history. All weapons free, Cross said quietly. Use tactical pattern Delta 7. Show them what we brought. The Defiance's weapons systems came alive. The Vexians learned why humans had survived every threat their dangerous homeworld had ever thrown at them. Railguns launched tungsten rounds at incredible speeds. The metal slugs tore through Vexian hulls like paper. Point defense lasers designed to shoot down missiles, carved through shields and armor with perfect accuracy. Missile pods opened along the Defiance's hull and released swarms of smart weapons. Each missile found its target and exploded with devastating effect. In 30 seconds, 40 Vexian ships were destroyed. Wreckage tumbled through space, trailing fire and debris. They are trying to surround us, Lieutenant Amy Powell called out from the tactical station. Let them try, Cross said. Helm, give me a barrel roll. Show them all our guns. The massive warship spun on its central axis like a dancer. As it rotated, every weapon that came to bear on an enemy ship opened fire. The Defiance became a spinning ball of destruction, and the Vexians flew straight into it. On Keltar Prime, Commander Lyra watched in stunned amazement. The human ship moved like a small fighter craft despite its enormous size. It danced through the Vexian formation while destroying everything in its path. Every shot hit its target. Every movement put the enemy at a disadvantage. How are they doing this? Her tactical officer whispered in awe. Lyra had no answer. She had studied warfare at the best military schools in this part of space. She understood tactics and strategy, but what she was watching was not just better technology. It was something else entirely. It was pure experience gained through centuries of conflict. The Vexian commander realized his fleet was being torn apart. He ordered all remaining ships to focus their fire on one small section of the Defiance's hull, hoping to overwhelm the shields through sheer volume of fire. It might have worked against any other ship. Lieutenant Greg Harris watched his screens carefully as the Vexian ships concentrated their fire on one section of the Defiance. Sir, they are focusing everything on Section 7, shields holding at 85%. Should I move power from other areas? No, Captain Cross replied calmly. Lieutenant Powell, do we have a lock on their command ship? Yes, sir. It is the big one staying back at coordinates 472. Can we hit it? Locked and ready, Captain. Then let us cut off the head of this snake. The Defiance's main spinal cannon had been charging since the battle started. It was a weapon that drew power directly from the ship's fusion reactors. Humanity had developed it during the Outer Colony Wars decades ago. Most aliens said such a weapon was impossible to build. Humans had built it anyway because they needed it to survive. A beam of pure energy shot across the battlefield. It was so bright that looking at it hurt. The beam struck the Vexian command dreadnought directly in the center and punched completely through it. The massive ship did not explode. It simply fell apart in two pieces. Its structure melted and its systems destroyed. The remaining Vexian ships stopped firing. Captain Cross spoke again on the open channel. This is Captain Cross. You have seen what we can do. You have lost your command ship and over a third of your fleet. I am giving you one more chance to leave peacefully. Take it, or I will destroy every single one of your ships. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, one by one, the Vexian ships began turning away. Their formation broke apart as they scattered in different directions. Each ship jumped to hyperspace as fast as it could. The Battle of Keltar Prime was over. It had lasted less than 10 minutes. The USS Defiance hung quietly in space as its weapons powered down. The last enemy vessel jumped away. Then the ship turned toward the damaged orbital platform, where Commander Lyra stood with her mouth open in shock. Keltari Defense Force, this is Captain Cross. Is your colony secure? Lyra realized she had tears running down her face. Yes, Captain. Yes, we are secure now. Captain Cross, I do not know how to thank you. You saved us all. No thanks are necessary, Commander. We picked up your distress call and came as fast as we could. My crew is ready to help with repairs and medical assistance if you need it. We need everything, Lyra admitted honestly. But Captain, why did you come? Why did you risk your ship for us? Nobody else in the galaxy would help us. There was a pause before Cross answered. When he spoke again, his voice was gentler. Because it was the right thing to do, Commander. And because where I come from, we have a saying. No one gets left behind. Not on our watch. As the Defiance moved into orbit to begin rescue operations, Commander Lyra looked at her crew. They were all staring at the human warship with wonder and respect in their eyes. Get me everything we have on humanity, Lyra ordered. I want to know who these people are, where they came from, and why nobody told us they had such powerful ships. Her communications officer pulled up files from the restricted military databases. What he found would change everything the galaxy thought it knew about Earth and its people. Over the next several hours, human shuttles ferried supplies to the damaged colony. Medical teams treated wounded civilians. Repair crews helped fix the defense systems and power generators. Captain Cross coordinated everything from his ship, while also preparing for what he knew would come next. Lieutenant Amy Powell entered his ready room. Captain, we are receiving transmissions from all over this sector. Word about what happened here is spreading very fast. I expected that, Cross said. How bad is it? Depends on your perspective, sir. We have distress calls from 17 different systems. All of them report Vexian activity. Several are under direct attack right now. They are all asking for help. Cross felt his jaw tighten. So the Vexians are making a major push. They are trying to grab as much territory as they can while the Council does nothing. There is more, sir, Powell continued. We are also getting messages from the Galactic Council itself. They are demanding we report to their headquarters immediately to explain our actions here. They are calling what we did an unprovoked act of aggression. Unprovoked? Powell's voice rose with anger. We saved an entire planet from genocide. Calm down, Lieutenant, Cross said, though he shared her frustration. The Council sees things differently. They are used to species that follow their rules and wait for permission before doing anything. What are we going to do, Captain? Asked Lieutenant Danny Foster, who had followed Powell into the room. Cross studied the star map on his wall. He could see the distress calls scattered across multiple sectors. Each one represented thousands or millions of lives in danger. He thought about the Council's demand and about the careful diplomacy that had kept humanity on the edge of galactic politics for so long. Then he thought about Commander Lyra's people and all the others crying out for help that would not come. Plot courses to each of these systems, Cross ordered. Communications, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them what we found here and recommend they deploy the fleet. Sir, we are just one ship, Harris pointed out. We cannot be everywhere at once. No, but we can make a statement, Cross replied. The galaxy needs to know that someone is willing to stand up to bullies like the Vexians. And as for the Council, send them a message. Tell them we will attend their hearing after we finish saving the people they abandoned. They are not going to like that, sir, Powell said with a small smile. I am counting on it, Cross replied. Lieutenant Harris, put me on wide broadcast. Let everyone hear this. When the communication channel was open to all nearby systems, Cross spoke with calm authority. This is Captain Nathan Cross of the USS Defiance to all systems under threat by Vexian aggression. Help is coming. Hold your positions, protect your people, and know that you are not alone anymore. Humanity stands with you. He closed the channel and turned to his crew. All right, everyone. We have work to do. Foster, take us to the nearest system under attack, maximum speed. Powell, I want complete weapons diagnostics. Harris, coordinate with Earth Command on fleet deployment. We are about to show the galaxy what humans do when we see innocent people being threatened. As the Defiance prepared to jump to hyperspace, Commander Lyra watched from Keltar Prime. She knew she was witnessing something important. The humans had been content to stay on the sidelines of galactic politics, but that was changing now. They were stepping forward, and nothing would ever be the same. She opened a secure channel to her government. This is Commander Lyra. I am sending you all the battle data. We need to contact the human government immediately and request a formal alliance. An alliance? Her superior responded with surprise. With a species the Council barely acknowledges? With a species that just saved us from extinction, Lyra corrected firmly. And one that is about to change everything in this galaxy. We need to be on their side when that happens. The Galactic Council chambers orbited a neutral star system in a massive space station. Representatives from hundreds of different species gathered here to debate policy and maintain peace across the galaxy. Today, those chambers were filled with angry voices and heated arguments. Chancellor Voron was a tall crystalline being who had led the council for 20 years. He raised his hand and called for order. His voice made harmonic sounds that echoed through the chamber. Please, honored delegates, we must discuss the human situation calmly and rationally. Rationally? Roared Ambassador Kreth, the Vexian representative. His reptilian face twisted with rage. The humans attacked our fleet without any provocation. They violated council protocols and interfered in a regional dispute that was none of their business. This is an act of war. Your fleet was killing civilians, said Ambassador Chenwei calmly. She was Earth's representative, a middle-aged woman with dark eyes that missed nothing. The Keltari colony sent distress calls that every species in this room ignored. We simply responded to people who needed help. You had no authority to intervene, Kreth shot back. The council has established protocols for these situations. Protocols that take weeks while people die, Chen said coldly. We have watched your protocols in action, Ambassador. They seem designed to protect the powerful rather than protect innocent lives. Whispers spread through the chamber. Many representatives from smaller species nodded in agreement, though they stayed quiet. The council was controlled by the larger powers, and speaking out could have serious consequences for their worlds. Chancellor Voron raised his crystalline hand again. Ambassador Chen, while the council appreciates Earth's humanitarian concerns, we cannot simply ignore established procedures. The USS Defiance's actions have destabilized the entire region. The Vexian Empire destabilized the region when they started their expansion campaign. Chen replied firmly. We have documented 17 attacks on civilian targets in the past 3 months alone. How many more colonies need to burn before the council actually does something? The Vexians are a recognized power, said Ambassador Jelith, a floating jellyfish-like creature who represented the wealthy merchant guilds. Any military action against them risks starting a wider war. And that is exactly why they keep pushing, Chen said. Because everyone is too afraid to stand up to them. Well, humanity is not afraid. Humanity is barely out of its own solar system, Kreth snarled. You are children playing with weapons you do not understand. Chen smiled, and there was something dangerous about that smile. Ambassador Kreth, let me tell you a story about children. On Earth, we have a small animal called the honey badger. It weighs maybe 30 pounds, but it is famous for fighting animals 10 times its size and never backing down. It does not care about the odds. It just fights to protect what matters. She leaned forward on her podium. Humanity is like that honey badger, Ambassador. And you just made the mistake of attacking someone under our protection. Is that a threat? Kreth demanded. It is a statement of fact, Chen replied. The USS Defiance is currently traveling to 3 more systems under Vexian attack. 4 more human warships are on their way to join her, and our home fleet is preparing for full deployment if necessary. You can call it whatever you want, but those colonies will be defended. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates shouted their support for Earth's position. Others condemned the humans for breaking council rules. Chancellor Voron struggled to restore order. This is completely unprecedented, he called out. Humanity cannot simply declare itself the protector of the galaxy. Why not? Chen asked. Someone has to do it, and you clearly will not. The council talks and debates while people die. We have seen this pattern before in our own history, Chancellor. We learned what happens when good people stand by and do nothing while evil spreads. She activated a holographic display that showed footage from the Battle of Keltar Prime. The assembled delegates watched in stunned silence as the USS Defiance destroyed ship after ship in the Vexian fleet. We did not ask to be heroes, Chen continued. We would prefer to explore, to learn, to trade peacefully. But we will not stand by and watch genocide happen while bureaucrats debate procedures. If that makes us troublemakers in your eyes, then so be it. Ambassador Kelris, who represented a small species that had lost colonies to Vexian expansion, spoke up hesitantly. The human ambassador says what many of us think but dare not voice out loud. The council has failed to protect the weak. Perhaps it is time for things to change. Ambassador Kelris. You are overstepping your bounds, Chancellor Voron warned. No. Chancellor, I am speaking the truth, Kelris replied, finding unexpected courage. My people lost 2 entire colonies last year while the council debated what to do. The humans stopped the Vexians in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. What does that say about our system? Other representatives from small species began murmuring their agreement. The power structure that had maintained galactic peace for centuries was beginning to crack. Ambassador Kreth slammed his fist on his podium. The Vexian Empire will not tolerate this interference. If the humans continue on this path, we will be forced to respond with our full military might. Please do try, Chen said quietly. We would welcome the opportunity to see your full strength. The coldness in her voice made even Chancellor Voren pause. The human ambassador was not making empty threats or trying to look tough. She was stating a simple fact. Humanity was ready for war if it came to that. Ambassador Chen, Voren said carefully, surely we can find a diplomatic solution to this crisis. What would Earth require to stand down? Chen considered the question for a moment. The immediate withdrawal of all Vexian forces from disputed territories, full reparations paid to the colonies they attacked, and a complete restructuring of council response protocols so that humanitarian crises are addressed immediately, not after weeks of useless debate. Those demands are completely impossible. Kreth spat. The Empire will never surrender territory we have rightfully claimed. Then we will take it back and give it to the people who actually live there. Chen replied calmly. Your choice, Ambassador Kreth. Chancellor Voren looked between the two ambassadors, seeing that neither would back down. I must call for a recess. This council will reconvene in 3 days to vote on these matters. In the meantime, I strongly urge all parties to show restraint and avoid any actions that might escalate this situation. 3 days, Chen said. In 3 days, Captain Cross and his fleet will have secured 4 more systems. How many more will you need to see, Chancellor, before you realize the galaxy has fundamentally changed? As the delegates filed out of the chamber, representatives from smaller species quietly approached Ambassador Chen. They wanted to request private meetings. They had watched humanity's demonstration of power and saw an opportunity to escape from the domination of the larger empires that had controlled them for so long. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, and everyone could feel it happening. Captain Nathan Cross stood in his ready room aboard the USS Defiance, staring at the star map displayed on his wall. Red markers showed systems under Vexian attack. Blue markers showed where human ships were headed. There were far more red markers than blue ones. The door chimed and Lieutenant Amy Powell entered. Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Harper wants to speak with you. The Admiral's weathered face appeared on the screen. He looked tired but determined. Nathan, you have stirred up quite a mess out there. Yes, sir. I am very aware of that. Good, because I am about to make it much bigger. The Admiral leaned forward. The President has authorized full fleet deployment. We are sending 12 aircraft carriers, 40 cruisers, and all necessary support vessels. You are going to have plenty of company very soon. Cross felt his eyebrows rise in surprise. Sir, that represents most of our deep space combat capability. It does, Admiral Harper agreed. The Council needs to understand we are completely serious about this. But Nathan, this operation is very delicate. We are not trying to conquer anyone or build an empire. We are making a statement about our values. Understood, sir. Help those who need it and stand up to bullies. Exactly right. The galaxy has been run by fear and intimidation for too long. Time to show them there is another way to do things. The Admiral paused and looked directly at Cross. Be careful out there, son. You are writing history with everything you do. I would rather be writing rescue reports, sir. Admiral Harper smiled slightly. That is exactly why you are the right man for this job. Harper out. As the connection closed, Cross returned to the bridge. His crew looked to him for orders. He could see both excitement and nervousness on their faces. They were all young, and many of them were on their first deep space deployment. None of them had expected to become the tip of humanity's spear into galactic politics. Listen up, everyone, Cross said. We have 3 systems that desperately need help, and we are going to visit all of them. But I need you to remember something important. We are not conquerors. We are not looking to build an empire or control other species. We are here because people need help, and nobody else will provide it. Understood, Captain, Lieutenant Danny Foster said, and the rest of the crew echoed their agreement. Foster, take us to the Velar system. Maximum speed. Let us go save some more lives. As the Defiance jumped into hyperspace, Commander Lyra sat in her rebuilt command center on Keltar Prime. She had spent the entire day coordinating with her government, and they had finally made their decision. The Keltari people were formally requesting a military and economic alliance with Earth. They would be the first species to make such a request, but they would be far from the last. Across the galaxy in the dark heart of Vexian space, High Commander Zack studied the tactical reports from Keltar Prime. He watched the battle recordings over and over, trying to understand how a single human ship had destroyed or driven off an entire fleet. This cannot be possible, he muttered. How can such a primitive species possess this level of technology? His intelligence officer stood nearby, looking grim. Sir, I have been reviewing the restricted archives about Earth and human history. There are fragments of information that paint a very different picture than what the Council believes. Their planet has been a place of constant conflict for thousands of years. They have fought countless wars and developed weapons of incredible destructive power. They have survived threats that would have completely ended most other species. One ship, Zack said slowly. They sent just one ship to challenge us. According to our scouts, they have many more. The USS Defiance is not unique or special. Earth maintains an entire battle fleet that has never been fully deployed in combat, until now. Zack stared at the star map showing his expansion plans. He could see them all crumbling before his eyes. Send word to the Council immediately. Tell them we need to discuss the human problem as a unified body. If we do not act together against this threat, they will upset the entire power structure we have spent centuries building. But even as he gave the order, Zack knew deep down that it was already too late. The humans had made their move, and the galaxy would never return to the way it was before. Meanwhile, the USS Defiance dropped out of hyperspace in the Valar system. Immediately, alarms began sounding on the bridge. Captain, I am detecting 14 Vexian ships in orbit around Valar 4. Lieutenant Harris reported. They are in the process of orbital bombardment. The colony's shields are failing. Time until shield collapse? Cross asked. 8 minutes, sir. That gives us plenty of time. Weapons lock onto all enemy vessels. Helm, take us straight into the middle of their formation. Let us not waste time with warnings this time. They know what they are doing is wrong. The Defiance accelerated toward the Vexian ships at full combat speed. The enemy vessels detected the human warship and immediately broke off their attack on the colony to face this new threat. But they had learned nothing from the disaster at Keltar Prime. The Vexian ships opened fire first, launching everything they had at the approaching human vessel. The Defiance's shields absorbed the attack easily. Then the human warship returned fire, and the Vexians learned their lesson far too late. In less than 4 minutes, all 14 Vexian ships were either destroyed or fleeing into hyperspace. The colony below was saved. Valar Colony, this is Captain Cross of the USS Defiance. The threat has been neutralized. Are you in need of assistance? The grateful response came immediately. Captain Cross, we heard what you did at Keltar Prime. We prayed you would come. Thank you. Thank you so much. Cross allowed himself a small smile. Just doing our job. Stand by for medical and repair teams. As the Defiance moved into orbit, Lieutenant Powell pulled up a list on her screen. Captain, we are receiving 17 more distress calls. All of them mention Vexian attacks. Sir, they are specifically asking for human help. Word has spread across the entire sector. Then we better get moving, Cross said. Foster, as soon as we deploy our assistance teams, plot a course to the next system. We have a lot of work ahead of us. Over the next 2 weeks, the USS Defiance and the growing human fleet moved from system to system. Every time they arrived, they found Vexian ships attacking helpless colonies. Every time the Vexians were driven off or destroyed. Every time grateful survivors looked up at human warships and saw hope. The galaxy was learning a new truth. When evil came calling, humanity answered, and they did not ask permission first. 3 weeks had passed since the Battle of Keltar Prime, and the galaxy looked completely different now. Captain Nathan Cross stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, which had become the flagship of what the news media was calling the Freedom Fleet. 12 human carriers orbited nearby, along with 40 cruisers and countless support vessels. But they were not alone anymore. Ships from 17 different alien species had joined them, forming a coalition that nobody had thought possible. Small species that had lived in fear of the larger empires for centuries now flew alongside human warships, learning to defend themselves and others. Captain, incoming transmission from Ambassador Chen, Lieutenant Greg Harris announced. She is at the council headquarters with important news. Chen appeared on the screen, and for the first time since all of this began, she was actually smiling. Captain Cross, I wanted you to hear this directly from me. The council just finished voting. What is the result? Cross asked. The Vexian Empire has been officially ordered to withdraw from all disputed territories and pay full reparations to the colonies they attacked. More importantly, the council has adopted the new humanitarian response protocols that Earth proposed. No more endless debates while people die. And Captain, they have formally recognized the Freedom Fleet as an authorized peacekeeping force under Council Charter. Cross felt tension he did not even know he was carrying release from his shoulders. We actually did it. You did it, Chen corrected him gently. You and your crew showed the galaxy that someone still cares about doing the right thing. Do you know what people are calling you out there? I'm almost afraid to ask. The Liberators. Children across 100 worlds are playing with toy spaceships painted to look like the Defiance. Parents tell their kids stories about the brave humans who came to help when nobody else would. You have become a symbol, Nathan. A symbol of hope and courage. Cross looked around his bridge at his crew. They had all heard the transmission, and several of them had tears in their eyes. Lieutenant Amy Powell was wiping her face with the back of her hand. What happens now? Cross asked Chen. Now the real work begins, she said. The Council wants Earth to establish a permanent peacekeeping force. They are also asking for our help in training other species' military forces. Turns out a lot of people want to learn how humans fight and defend themselves. We will teach them how to survive, Cross said firmly. That is what humanity does best. We survive, and we help others survive too. After the transmission ended, Cross turned to address his crew. Well, you all heard Ambassador Chen. We are not going home just yet. But I want you all to understand something. What we did these past weeks really matters. We did not just save colonies. We changed how the entire galaxy thinks about justice and the responsibility to protect innocent people. Give us a speech, Captain. Lieutenant Danny Foster called out, and the crew laughed and clapped. Cross held up his hands. All right, you want a speech? Here it is. We came from a planet that tried to kill us in every way imaginable. Ice ages, volcanoes, asteroids, diseases, predators. We survived because we are stubborn, because we adapt, and because we absolutely refuse to give up no matter what. When we finally reached the stars, we found a galaxy that had forgotten how to fight for what is right. They had built systems and protocols and endless procedures, but they had lost something essential. They had lost the willingness to actually do something when it mattered. He paused and looked at each of his officers in turn. We reminded them, not through conquest or threats, but by simply doing what we knew was right. We saw people in danger and we helped them. It really is that simple. And now, because of you and what you did, thousands of people are alive who would be dead. Millions more sleep safely at night because they know someone is watching out for them. So what comes next, sir? Powell asked. Next, we keep doing what we do. We explore, we learn, we make friends across the galaxy. But we also stand ready to help. Because the galaxy still has plenty of bullies and tyrants, and now they all know that humanity is here. And we do not back down from doing what is right. The crew cheered loudly, and Cross could not help but smile. They were so young and so full of hope and courage. They reminded him exactly why he had joined the exploration fleet in the first place all those years ago. On Earth, in the sprawling headquarters of Earth Command, Admiral Harper watched the celebrations with deep satisfaction. The gamble had paid off better than anyone had dared hope. Humanity had established itself not as conquerors or bullies, but as protectors and allies. Species across the galaxy were requesting alliances, sharing technology, and opening trade routes with Earth. But Harper knew this was just the beginning of something much larger. The Vexians had been humbled and forced to retreat, but they were not gone completely. Other empires watched carefully and calculated their options, wondering if humanity was a threat to their power or an opportunity for new alliances. The galactic power structure was shifting dramatically, and Earth stood at the very center of these changes. His aide entered the office carrying a data tablet. Admiral, we are receiving hundreds of formal requests from other species. They want human ships stationed in their systems. They want human military trainers. They want human protection. We cannot possibly be everywhere at once, Harper said thoughtfully. No, sir, we cannot. But we can teach them to protect themselves. The Diplomatic Corps is proposing a major initiative, a comprehensive training program where we share our knowledge and help them build their own proper defenses. Harper nodded slowly, seeing the wisdom in this approach. Like the Marshall Plan after World War II, but for the stars. I like this idea. What are we calling this program? The Sentinel Initiative, sir. Teaching the galaxy to stand watch over itself. Perfect name. Make it happen. Get our best military instructors assigned immediately. Far across the void of space in the rebuilt colonies that human intervention had saved from destruction, children played new kinds of games. They pretended to be Captain Cross or Lieutenant Powell, or any of the brave crew members of the Defiance. They drew pictures of human ships with crayons. They wrote simple stories about daring rescues and heroes who came from far away to help. On Keltar Prime, Commander Lyra stood before a memorial erected to honor those who had died in the Vexian attack. Next to that sad monument, her people had built another one. This second monument showed a human in military uniform with one hand extended in friendship and greeting, while the other hand rested on a weapon. The inscription carved into the base read, "No one expected help to come, but humanity answered our call. They asked for nothing in return, risked everything they had, and reminded us all what it truly means to be civilized and good. May we never forget their courage." Lyra placed fresh flowers at the base of both monuments. Her government had signed a formal alliance treaty with Earth, and Keltari engineers were already working side by side with humans to upgrade their defense systems and train their military forces. Never again would her people be helpless victims. 6 months had passed since humanity had changed the galaxy forever. Captain Nathan Cross sat alone in his ready room aboard the USS Defiance, looking at reports from across dozens of star systems. The changes were remarkable and sometimes hard to believe. The Freedom Fleet now included ships from 43 different species. What had started as one human warship responding to a distress call had grown into a true coalition dedicated to protecting the weak and standing against aggression. Human military advisors were training defense forces on 70 different worlds. The Sentinel Initiative was exceeding every expectation, but the most remarkable change was not military. It was philosophical. The entire galaxy was having a conversation it had avoided for centuries. What was the responsibility of the strong to the weak? What did civilization really mean? When was it right to use force to protect innocent lives? Lieutenant Amy Powell entered with a datapad. "Captain, you need to see this. We just received a message from the Vexian Empire. They are requesting a formal meeting." Cross raised his eyebrows. "The Vexians want to talk?" "After everything that happened. Apparently they have a new high commander. The old one was removed from power after the military disasters. This new leader wants to discuss peace terms." Cross considered this news carefully. "Set up the meeting. But make it clear we will not negotiate away the freedoms of the colonies they attacked. Those worlds stay independent." "Understood, sir." After Powell left, Cross returned to his viewport and looked out at the stars. He thought about everything that had happened. One distress call had changed the course of history. One decision to help had rippled across the entire galaxy. His communicator beeped. It was Lieutenant Greg Harris from the bridge. "Captain, incoming transmission from Earth. It is marked personal and private. Put it through to my ready room." The face that appeared on his screen was not Admiral Harper or anyone from the military. It was President Martinez herself, the leader of Earth's unified government. "Captain Cross," she said warmly, "I wanted to personally thank you for everything you have done. Because of your actions and your crew's courage, Earth is no longer seen as a minor species on the edge of galactic civilization. We are now recognized as a major power and a moral leader. Thank you, Madam President, but I was just doing what seemed right." "That is exactly why what you did matters so much," Martinez said. "You did not ask permission. You did not wait for orders. You saw people in need and you helped them. That kind of moral clarity is rare and precious. The galaxy needed to see it." She leaned forward slightly. "I'm also calling to tell you something else. The Council has requested that you personally address their full assembly next month. They want to hear directly from the man who started all of this." Cross felt uncomfortable with that idea. "Madam President, I am a ship captain, not a politician or a diplomat. Ambassador Chen would be much better suited for that kind of thing." "Ambassador Chen recommended you specifically," Martinez replied. "She said the Council needs to hear from someone who was there in the fire, not someone who watched from safety. They need to understand the human perspective from someone who lived it." Cross sighed but nodded. "If you order it, I will do it, Madam President." "I am not ordering you, Captain. I am asking you." "Will you do this for Earth?" "Yes, ma'am. I will. Thank you, Nathan." Earth is proud of you and your crew. Martinez out. 3 weeks later, Captain Cross stood in the Grand Council chambers wearing his dress uniform. He felt more nervous standing here than he had faced 300 enemy warships. All around him, representatives from hundreds of species watched and waited to hear what he would say. Chancellor Voran introduced him with formal words about courage and change. Then it was Cross's turn to speak. He walked to the central podium and looked around at all the alien faces watching him. He took a deep breath and began. Honored delegates, I am not a diplomat or a politician. I am a ship captain. I explore space, protect human interests, and help people when I can. So I am going to speak to you the way I speak to my crew, directly and honestly. He paused and looked around the chamber. 6 months ago, I received a distress call from a colony called Keltar Prime. They were under attack and facing complete destruction. They had called for help and nobody came. The council debated procedures while people died. I made a choice that day. I chose to act instead of talking. I chose to help instead of finding reasons not to get involved. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Now I know some of you think humanity overstepped. You think we violated protocols and disrupted the established order. You are absolutely right. We did all of those things, and we would do them again without hesitation. He let that sink in for a moment. Do you know what we learned on Earth through thousands of years of hard history? We learned that civilization is not about following rules. It is about choosing to protect those who cannot protect themselves. It is about standing up to bullies even when it is dangerous. It is about doing what is right even when it is not easy or convenient. Cross looked directly at Chancellor Voran. Your council had forgotten that basic truth. You had built a system where procedures mattered more than lives, where political calculations mattered more than justice, where fear of conflict mattered more than the responsibility to protect innocent people. The chamber was completely silent now. Humanity did not come to your galaxy to conquer or to rule. We came to explore and learn, but we will not stand by and watch genocide while bureaucrats debate. We will not let children die while politicians worry about jurisdiction. That is not who we are as a species. We have faced extinction too many times to ever let others face it alone when we can help. He softened his tone slightly. I am glad the Council has adopted new protocols. I am glad the Freedom Fleet is now recognized. But I want you all to understand something clearly. Humanity will help those who need it whether you give us permission or not. We will stand against aggression whether it is politically convenient or not. We will protect the weak whether you approve or not. Cross looked around the chamber one final time. That is not a threat. It is simply who we are. We hope you will work with us to make the galaxy safer and more just. But with or without your approval, humanity will continue to do what we believe is right. Thank you for listening. He walked away from the podium and out of the chamber. Behind him, the delegates sat in stunned silence for a long moment. Then, slowly, representatives from the smaller species began to applaud. The sound grew louder and louder until it filled the entire chamber. The galaxy had heard humanity's answer. And it would never forget.